The top United Nations human rights official talking today about major crisis situations happening across our planet in places like Yemen and in Bangladesh and Myanmar, but also in the United States. This image coming from the U.S. government, it shows children, undocumented immigrants, forcibly separated from their families at the U.S.-Mexico border. Now, this happening in Texas, and the UN official saying he is deeply concerned by what's happening there.
The thought that any state would seek to deter parents by inflicting such abuse on children is unconscionable.
The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights also quoting the American Association of Pediatrics, which calls the practice of separating families government-sanctioned child abuse. The president of that pediatrics organization recently visited a Texas facility where children 12 years old and younger are being held. She spoke with CNN today.
This does amount to child abuse. These children have been traumatized on their trip up to the border, and the first thing that happens is we take away the one constant in their life that helps them buffer all of these horrible experiences. That's child abuse.
Shut it down! Shut it down!
On Friday, the Department of Homeland Security confirmed nearly 2,000 children were separated from their families in a recent 6-week period as part of a zero-tolerance crackdown on illegal border crossings. Under the policy, all adults who try to cross the border outside official entry points are criminally charged, resulting in children being kept away from their parents.
Say it loud, say it clear. Immigrants are welcome here.
The practice sparking fierce backlash from Democrats, immigration activists, and even among some Republicans, including former First Lady Laura Bush. In an opinion piece in the Washington Post, she says in part, "I appreciate the need to enforce and protect our international boundaries, but this zero-tolerance policy is cruel. It is immoral, and it breaks my heart." And the current First Lady weighing in through a spokesperson saying Melania Trump, quote, hates to see children separated from their families, and she believes the U.S. should govern with heart. And a tweet from another Republican, former Florida Governor Jeb Bush, says children shouldn't be used as a negotiating tool. Donald Trump should end his heartless policy, and Congress should get an immigration deal done that provides for asylum reform, border security, and a path to citizenship for dreamers. So given the outcry, why is this policy still being carried out? Still to come, we hear from Donald Trump and the White House, who they are blaming.
The United States will not be a migrant camp, and it will not be a refugee holding facility. Won't be.
Donald Trump speaking today amid pressure, including from the United Nations, to stop separating children from their families at the U.S.-Mexico border. The separations affecting some 2,000 kids over a 6-week period. It's part of a zero-tolerance policy that's seeing all adults caught entering the U.S. illegally criminally charged, something that's leading to children being moved to separate shelters. Trump doubling down today, blaming Democrats for the policy, even though Republicans, his own party, has the power in Washington, and Trump himself could bring a stop to it.
Members of Congress on the Democratic side say that you are using children as a lever to try to get them to take legislative action. What do you say to that?
I say that is a very cowardly response. It's clearly within their power to make the laws and change the laws. They should do so.
So why doesn't the president pick up the phone and change the policy? He said he hates it.
I think what the president is trying to do is find a long-term fix. So why don't we have Congress change the laws to change No, Congress could fix this tomorrow.
The U.S. Homeland Security Secretary joining the White House press briefing, which was delayed for hours today until the secretary returned to Washington from New Orleans, where she also defended the administration's immigration policy after she was criticized for tweeting yesterday that we do not have a policy of separating families at the border, period.
It is important to note that these minors are very well taken care of. Don't believe the press. We will not apologize for doing our job. This administration has a simple message. If you cross the border illegally, we will prosecute you.
Sharing the same stage at the National Sheriff Association conference in New Orleans today, U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions.
We do not want to separate parents from their children. You can be sure of that. If we build a wall, we pass some legislation, we close some loopholes, we won't face these terrible charges.
As for what's next, Trump set to meet with House Republicans tomorrow to talk immigration.